In Chapter 11, we will survey the management of information system and information technology resources. We begin with the major function of the information system department. Then we will consider planning for use of information system and information technology. Outsourcing is the process of hiring outside vendor to provide business services and related products. For our purpose, outsourcing refers to hiring outside vendor to provide information system, product, and application. We will examine the pros and cons of outsourcing and describe some of its risks. Finally, we will conclude this chapter by discussing the relationship of users to the information system department. Study guide. Question 1. What are the function and organization of the information system department? Question 2. How do organizations plan to use of information system? Question 3. What are the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing? Question 4. What are your user rights and responsibilities? Question 5. MIS in 2024. The major function of the information system department are as follows. 1. Plan the use of information system to accomplish organizational goals and strategy. 2. Manage outsourcing relationship. 3. Protect information assets. 4. Develop, operate, and maintain the organization computing infrastructure. 5. Develop, operate, maintain application. Figure 11.1 shows typical top-level reporting relationship. Organizational structure varies depending on the organization size, culture, competitive environment, industry, and other factors. Larger organizations with independent division will have a group of senior executives such as those shown here for each division. The title of the principal manager of the information system department varies from organization to organization. A common title is Chief Information Officer or CIO. Other common titles are Vice President of Information Services, Director of Information Service, and less commonly, Director of Computer Service. In Figure 11.1, the CIO, like other senior executives, report to the Chief Executive Officer or CEO, though sometimes this executive report to Chief Operating Officer or COO, who in turn report to the CEO. The structure of the information system department also varies among organizations. Figure 11.1 shows a typical information system department with 4 groups and a data administration staff function. Most information system departments include technology office that investigate new information system technologies and determine how the organization can benefit from them. For example, today, many organizations are investigating social media and elastic cloud opportunities and planning how they can use those capabilities to better accomplish their goals and objectives. An individual called the Chief Technology Officer or CTO often heads the technology group in information system department. The CTO evaluates new technologies, new ideas, and new capabilities and identifies those that are most relevant to the organization. Next group is operation. Manage the computing infrastructure, including individual computer, in-house server farm, network, and communication media. This group includes system and network administrator. The important function of this group is to monitor the user experience and respond to user problems. The third group in the information system department is development. This group manages the process of creating new information system as well as maintaining existing one. The size and structure of the development group depend on whether programs are developed in-house. If not, this department will be staffed primarily by business and system analysts who work with users, operation, and vendor to acquire and install licensed software and to set up the system component around that software. If the organization develops program in-house, then this department will include programmer, test engineer, technical writer, and other development personnel. The last information system department group is outsourcing relation. This group exists in organizations that have negotiated outsourcing agreement with other companies to provide equipment, application, and other services. Figure 11.1 includes a data administration staff function. The purpose of this group is to protect data and information assets by establishing data standards and data management practices and policies. There are many variations of the structure of the information system department shown in figure 11.1. In larger organizations, the operation may itself consist of several different departments. Sometimes there is a separate group for data warehousing and data mart. Information department provide a wide range of interesting and well-paying jobs. Many students enter the MIS class thinking that the information system department consists only of programmer and computer technician. If you reflect on the 5 components of an information system, you can understand why this cannot be true. The data, procedure, and people component of an information system require professionals with highly developed interpersonal communication skills. Figure 11.2 summarizes the major job position in the information system industry. With the exception of computer technician and possibly product quality assurance or PQA, less test engineer, all of these positions require a 4-year degree. Furthermore, with the exception of programmer and PQA test engineer, they all require business knowledge. In most cases, successful professionals have a degree in business. Most positions require good verbal and written communication skill. Many of the positions in figure 11.2 have a wide salary range. The purpose of information system is to help the organization accomplish its goal and objective. In order to do so, all information systems must be aligned with the organization competitive strategy. Recall from chapter 3, the first 2 strategies are that an organization can be a cost leader either across an industry or within industry segment. Secondly, an organization can differentiate its product or services either across the industry or within a segment. Maintaining alignment between information system direction and organizational strategy is a continuing process. Information system must evolve along with the organization. Unfortunately, however, adapting information system to a new version of business processes is neither easy nor quick. The difficulty of adapting information system is often not appreciated in the executive suite. Without a persuasive CIO, information system can be perceived as a drag on the organization opportunities. The second information system planning function in figure 11.3 is communicate information issues to executive group. The CIO is the representative for information system and information technology issues within the executive staff. The CIO provides the information system perspective during discussion of problem solution, proposal, and new initiative. The next information system planning function in figure 11.3 concerns priorities. The CIO must ensure that priorities consistent with the overall organization strategy are developed and then communicated to the information system department. At the same time, the CIO must ensure that the department evaluates proposals and projects for using new technology in light of those communicated priorities. Technology is seductive, particularly to information system professionals. The CIO may enthusiastically claim that by moving all of our reporting to the cloud, we can do this and this and this. Although true, the question that the CIO must continually ask is whether those new possibilities are consistent with the organization strategy and direction. Therefore, the CIO must not only establish and communicate such priorities, but enforce them as well. The department must evaluate every proposal at the earliest stage possible as to whether it is consistent with the organization's goal and aligned with its strategy. Furthermore, no organization can afford to implement every good idea. Even projects that are aligned with organization strategy must be prioritized. The final planning function in Figure 11.3 is to sponsor the steering committee. A steering committee is a group of senior managers from the major business function that work with the CIO to set the information system priorities and decide among major information system projects and alternatives. The steering committee serves as an important function between information system and the users. In the steering committee, information system personnel can discuss potential information system initiative and direction with the user community. Outsourcing is the process of hiring another organization to perform a service. Outsourcing is done to save costs, to gain expertise, and to free management time. The father of modern management, Peter Drucker, said, "Your back room is someone else's front room." For instance, in most companies, running the cafeteria is not an essential function for business success. Thus, the employee cafeteria is a back room because food service is some company front room. That company will be better able to provide a quality product at a fair price. Many companies today have chosen to outsource portion of these as activities. Figure 11.4 lists popular reasons for doing so. Consider its major group of reasons. 1. Management advantages. First, outsourcing can be an easy way to gain expertise. Another reason for outsourcing is to avoid management problem. Some companies choose to outsource to save management time and attention. 2. Cost reduction. Other common reason for choosing to outsource concern cost reduction. With outsourcing, organizations can obtain part-time services. Another benefit is to gain economies of scale. If 25 organizations develop their own payroll application in-house, then when the tax law changes, 25 different groups will have to learn new law, change their software to meet the law, test the changes, and write the documentation explaining the changes. However, if the same 25 organizations outsource to the same payroll vendor, then that vendor can make all of adjustment once, and the cost to change can be amortized over all of them, thus lowering the cost that the vendor must change. 3. Risk reduction. Another reason for outsourcing is to reduce risk. First, outsourcing can cap financial risk. In a typical outsourcing contract, the outsourced vendor will agree to a fixed price contract services. This occurs, for example, when companies outsource their hardware to cloud vendor. Another way to cap financial risk is to delay paying the bulk of the fee until the work is completed and the software or other component is working. In the first case, it reduces risk by capping the total due. Second, outsourcing can reduce the risk by ensuring a certain level of quality or avoiding the risk of having substandard quality. A company that specializes in food service knows what to do to provide a certain level of quality. It has the expertise to ensure, for example, that only healthy food is served. So too, a company that specializes in, say, cloud server hosting knows what to do to provide a certain level of liability for a given workload. However, there is no guarantee that outsourcing will provide a certain level of quality or quality better than could be achieved in-house. But in general, a professional outsourcing firm knows how to provide a minimum level product or service quality to its customer. And if that minimum level of quality is not provided, then it is easier to hire another vendor than it is to hire internal staff. Finally, organizations choose to outsource information system in order to reduce implementation risk. Hiring an outside cloud vendor reduces risk of picking the wrong brand of or hardware or the wrong virtualization software or implementing tax law changes incorrectly. Outsourcing gathers all these risks into the risk of choosing the right vendor. Once the company has chosen the vendor, further risk management is up to the vendor. Many firms headquartered in the US have chosen to outsource their customer support activities to companies outside the US. India is the popular because it has a large, well-educated English-speaking population that will work for 20 to 30% of the labor costs in the US. China and other countries are used as well. In fact, the modern telephone technology and internet-enabled service databases, a single service can be initiated in the US, partially processed in India, then Singapore, and finally by an employee in England. The customer knows only that he has been put on hold for a brief period of time. International outsourcing is particularly advantageous for customer support and other functions that must be operational 24/7. Amazon.com, for example, operates customer service centers in the US, India, and Ireland. During the evening hours in US, customer representatives in India, where it is daytime, handle the calls. When the night falls in India, customer reps in Ireland handle the early morning calls from the east coast of the US. In this way, companies can provide 24/7 service without requiring employees to work night shifts. By the way, as you learned in Chapter 1, the key protection for your job is to become someone who excels at non-routine symbolic analysis. Someone with the ability to find innovative application or the technology also unlikely to lose his or her job to overseas worker. Organizations have found hundreds of different ways to outsource information system and portion of information system. Figure 10.5 organize the major categories of alternative according to information system component. Some organizations outsource the acquisition of computer hardware. Electronic Data System, or EDS, has been successful for more than 30 years as an outsourced vendor of hardware infrastructure. Figure 10.5 shows another alternative, outsourcing the computer in the cloud via IaaS, or Infrastructure as a Service. Acquiring licensed software, as discussed in Chapter 4 and 10, is a form of outsourcing. Rather than develop the software in-house, organizations license it from another vendor. Such licensing allows the software vendor to amortize the cost of software maintenance over all of the users, thus reducing that cost for all who use it. Another option is Platform as a Service, which is the leasing of hardware with pre-installed operating system as well as possibly database management system. Microsoft Azure is one such PaaS offering. Some organizations choose to outsource the development of software. Such outsourcing might be for entire application or could be making customization to licensed software, as is frequently done with ERP implementation. Another alternative is Software as a Service, or SaaS, in which hardware and both operating system and application software are leased. Salesforce.com is a typical example of a company that offers SaaS. It is also possible to outsource the entire system. PeopleSoft, now owned by Oracle, attained prominence by providing the entire payroll function as an outsourced service. In such a solution, as the vendor provides hardware, software, data, and some procedure, the company need provide only employee and work information. The payroll outsourced vendor does the rest. Finally, some organizations choose to outsource an entire business function. For years, many companies have outsourced to travel agencies the function of arranging for employees' travel. Some of these outsourced vendors even operate office within the company facilities. Such agreements are much broader than outsourcing information system, but information systems are key components of the application that are outsourced. Figure 11.6 lists some of outsourcing significant risks. Number 1, loss control. The first risk of outsourcing is a loss control. For service-oriented outsourcing, say the outsourcing of information technology infrastructure, the vendor is in the driver's seat. Each outsourced vendor has method and procedure for its service. The organization and its employee will have to conform to those procedures. For example, a hardware infrastructure vendor will have standard form and procedure for requesting a computer, for recording and processing a computer problem. Once the vendor is in charge, employees must conform. For example, when outsourcing the cafeteria, employees have only those food choices that the vendor provides. Similarly, when obtaining computer hardware and services, the employees will need to take what the vendor supports. Employees who want equipment that is not on the vendor list will be put on luck. Unless the contract requires otherwise, the outsourced vendor can choose the technology that it wants to implement. If the vendor, for the reason, is slow to pick up on a significant new technology, then the hiring organization will be slow to attain benefit from that technology. An organization can find itself at a competitive disadvantage because it cannot offer the same information service as its competitor. Another concern is a potential loss of intellectual capital. The company may need to reveal proprietary trade secret method or procedure to the outsourced vendor employees. As part of its normal operation, that vendor may move employees to competing organizations, and the company may lose intellectual capital as that happens. The loss need not be intellectual theft. It could simply be that the vendor employee learned to work in a new and better way at your company, and then they take that learning to your competitor. Similarly, all software has value and problem. Quality vendor track those value and problem and fix them according to a set of priorities. When a company outsources a system, it no longer has control over prioritizing those fixes. Such control belongs to the vendor. A fix that might be critical to your company might be of low priority to the outsourced vendor. Another problem are that the outsourced vendor may change management, adopt a different strategy direction, or be acquired. When any of those changes occur, priorities may change, and an outsourced vendor that was good choice at one time may be a bad fit after it changes direction. It can be difficult and expensive to change an outsourced vendor when this occurs. The final loss of control risk is that the company's CIO can become superfluous. When users need a critical service that is outsourced, the CIO must turn to the vendor for a response. In time, users learn that it's quicker to deal with the outsourced vendor, and soon the CIO is out of communication loop. At that point, the vendor has essentially replaced the CIO. The initial benefit of outsourcing can appear huge. A cap on financial exposure, a reduction in management time and attention, and the release of many management and staffing problems are all possible. Outsourcing can appear too good to be true. In fact, it can be too good to be true. For one, although a fixed cost does indeed cap exposure, it also removes the benefit of economies of scale. If the organization demand takes off and suddenly need 200 servers instead of 20, the using organization will pay 200 times the fixed cost of supporting one server. It is possible, however, that because of economies of scale, the cost of supporting 20 servers are far less than that 10 times the cost of supporting 20 servers. If they were hosting those servers in-house, they and not the vendor would be the beneficiary. Also, the outsourced vendor may change its price strategy over time. Initially, the organization obtained a competitive bid from several outsourced vendors. However, as the winning vendor learns more about the business and as relationships develop between the organization employee and those of the vendor, it becomes difficult for other firms to compete for subsequent contracts. The vendor becomes the vector sole source, and with little competitive pressure might increase its price. Another problem is that an organization can find itself paying for another organization's mismanagement, with little that this is the case. For example, it is difficult to know if the vendor is well managed. The organization may be paying for poor management. Even worse, it may suffer the consequences of poor management, such as lost data. It will very difficult for organization to learn about such vendor mismanagement. The final category of outsourcing risk concerns ending the agreement. There is no easy exit. For one, the outsourced vendor employee have gained significant knowledge of the company. They know the server requirement in customer support, they know the pattern of usage, and they know the best procedure for downloading operational data into data warehouse. Consequently, lack of knowledge will make it difficult to bring the outsourced service back in-house. Also, because the vendor has become so tightly integrated into the business, parting company can be exceedingly risky. Shutting down the enterprise network for a few weeks would be impossible. The business would not survive. Because of such risks, the company must invest considerable work, duplication of effort, management time, and expense to change to another vendor. In fact, choosing an outsourced vendor can be a one-way street. Therefore, choosing to outsource is a difficult decision. In fact, the correct decision might not be clear, but time and event could force the company to decide. The item in figure 11.7 lists what you are entitled to receive and indicate what you are expected to contribute. You have the right to reliable network and internet services. Reliable means that you can proceed without problem almost all of the time. It means that you never go to work wondering, will the network be available today? Network problem should be a rare occurrence. You also have a right to a secure computing environment. The organization should protect your computer and its files. And you should not formally even need to think about security. From time to time, the organization might ask you to take particular action to protect your computer and file, and you should take those actions, but such requests should be rare and related to specific outside threat. You have the right to participate in requirement meeting for new application that you will use and for major changes to application that you currently use. You may choose to delegate this right to others, or your department may delegate that right for you. If so, you have a right to contribute your thought through that delegate. You have the right to a reliable system development and maintenance. Additionally, you have a right to receive prompt attention to your problem, concern, and complain about information services. You have a right to have a mean to report problem and to know that your problem has been received and at least registered with the information system department. Finally, you have a right to effective training that you can understand and that enables you to use system to perform your particular job. The organization should provide training in a format and on a schedule that is convenient to you. You also have responsibilities toward the information system department and your organization. Specifically, you have a responsibility to learn basic computer skill and to learn the technique and procedure for the application you use. You should not expect hand-holding for basic operation, nor should you expect to receive repetitive training and support for the same issue. You have a responsibility to follow security and backup procedure. This is especially important because action that you fail to take may cause problem for your fellow employees and your organization as well as for you. In particular, you are responsible for protecting your password. You have a responsibility for using your computer resources in a manner that is consistent with your employer policy. Many employers allow limited email for critical family matters while at work, but discourage frequent and long casual email. You have a responsibility to know your employer policy and to follow it. Further, if your employer has a policy concerning use of personal mobile device at work, you are responsible for following it. You also have a responsibility to make no unauthorized hardware modification to your computer and to install only authorized programs. One reason for this policy is that your information system department constructs automated maintenance program for upgrading your computer. Unauthorized hardware and program might interfere with automated maintenance program. Additionally, the installation of unauthorized hardware or program can cause your problem that the information system department will have to fix. You have a responsibility to install computer updates and fixes when asked to do so. This is particularly important for patches that concern security and backup and recovery. When asked for input to requirement for new and adaptive system, you have a responsibility to take the time necessary to provide thoughtful, complete responses. If you do not have that time, you should delegate your input to someone else. Finally, you have a responsibility to treat information system professional professionally. Everyone works for the same company. Everyone wants to succeed, and professionalism and courtesy will go a long way on all sides. One form of professional behavior is to learn basic computer skills so that you avoid reporting trivial problems. MIS in 2024. Many changes and development will have a major effect on the organizational management of information system and information technology resources in the next 10 years. Most organizations will move their internal hardware infrastructure into the cloud. Some companies will be concerned enough about security that they will keep some data on their own, privately controlled server, but vast amount of hardware infrastructure will migrate to the cloud. Running a computer center for anyone other than a cloud vendor is not a promising career. We will most certainly see the rise in the use of mobile devices at work. Mobile devices will become cheaper, more powerful, with dynamic, maybe even game-like user experiences. They will be ubiquitous. Organizations will develop bring your own device or beyond policy that meet their needs and strategies. And many will encourage employees to bring their own device to work. At some point, that might even become a requirement. What mobile device do you use could become a standard interview question. By 2024, organizations will use social media inside the organization in true Enterprise 2.0 style. Organizational knowledge management will be done using social media, and most projects will have a social media component, or perhaps that has it backward. Social media site will have a project component. By 2024, SDLC will be a thing in the past, at least as far as it relates to the development and processes, system and application, but possibly for the management of projects of all types. Scrum and other agile technologies will be history. Meanwhile, organizations will continue to lose control. Mobile devices are becoming even more popular. When employees come to work with their own computing devices that are more powerful than any computer they have at work, and when those devices access networks that are paid for by the employees, how will the information system department maintain control? For few years, organizations may be able to maintain some aspect of control with restrictive buyout policies. That policy will work for a while, but ultimately it is doomed. For one, at some point, that policy will put employees at a competitive disadvantage. Employees will want to access the network using whatever hardware they have, wherever they happen to be. If they can, their competitor will. But there is a second reason that limiting access to the corporate network won't work. Employees will move off the network and start using shared applications such as SharePoint, SkyDrive, or Google Plus to do their collaborative project. Now, all the corporate data are out on someone's SkyDrive or Google Plus account or somewhere else and has been shared with somebody that the organization does not know. This is the end of chapter 11. Thanks.